Right, winter's well and truly here now, and something I really like to do throughout the winter months is get out on the bank and catch a few roach. They're a wonderful fish to catch, and there's nothing better than a great big net for at the end of the day, whether it be in a match situation or whether you're just going out fishing for fun. We're here today at Shatterford Lakes. It's owned by a good friend of mine, Grant Albert. He assures me that there's plenty of fish in here, some quite big ones as well. So let's get a bit of bait in and we'll have a look at the tactics and everything else that we're going to be doing to catch them today. Just fed my swim, so while the bait's settling in the swim, I'm just going to take a few minutes to run you through quickly what we're using and the amounts and what we expect to happen today. Three main baits really: ever faithful casters, some red maggots, a few worms. Grant tells me there's a few bream in here as well, so they might be worth a try later. And pinkies, which I add to my ground bait. The ground bait mix itself, very simple. Basically a full bag of Bait Tech Pro Natural, straight in with that. And then half a bag of the dark. Roach really do seem to prefer to feed over a darkish ground bait, so I'm just going to add half a bag of that to that, and then that'll be plenty. It's just worth noting that because it's deep here, the ground bait you use is worth giving a little bit of consideration. Basically, you need something that will bind, you need something that will carry loose feed to the bottom without breaking up on the way down. What you can find if that does happen is you end up with a very small stamp of fish in your swim. So basically when the bait gets to the bottom intact and carries all your loose feed, you do tend to pick up a far better size of fish. Right, gonna go straight in with a pint of water with that. Lazy man's way today with a drill. And already that's gone a nice dark brown colour, which will match the bottom of this lake quite well. It's quite a clay sort of bottom really, so basically I can leave that for 10 minutes or so and then probably add the same amount of water again, and that'll be perfect. What is important when you're feeding your bait though is, for my initial feed, I sort of will measure out an amount of bait, so that'll be 1 ball, 2 balls, 3 balls, 4. That's what I put in on my long line. Put 4 balls in to start with, and then I put 1 ball on my short line. So there's enough ground bait there to make at least 5 balls of ground bait. What I like to do though, to be a little bit more accurate, is measure the amount of bait that I actually put into the ground bait. So there's 1 pot of casters there. I'll put two small pots of casters in to start with. They went in like that, and then I put 1 pot of pinkies, and I also put some chopped worm. The benefits of doing it like this is, once I start fishing, I know exactly how much I've put in, but also it gives me a good idea where I've put too much, I've not put enough. So if I put that bait in and I catch straight away, but the fish go off the feed very quickly, chances are they might have ate the lot. So I'll need to top up again, but I know that I've put 2 cups of this, a cup of that. So it just gives me a good reference point for either future sessions or how to adapt my session as it goes on. Let's get over there and catch a few fish. The lake here at Shatterford is quite a bit different to most of the lakes that I fish in that it's very, very deep. On my deepest rig today I've probably got 15 foot of water, so obviously that requires top fours, top fives, and obviously heavier floats than what you'd use normally. Let's take a look at the first rig, which is the deepest rig, which is about half a mile down this pole. The float is a 2 gram float, which is set up on an 013 Power Optex mainline. Running down the rig, coming to an Olivet there. Now, when you're choosing an Olivet for fishing on these big heavy rigs, it's quite important to give yourself a bit of an option really. Now, the float's 2 grams, so I've picked a 1.75 gram Olivet, which enables me to build quite a few small shots into my rig, and around it I've probably got there's probably about 8 number 10s to take the float down and dot it down nicely. But what this enables me to do, it adds a little bit of versatility into my rig, so I can bulk it down a bit more, I can turn it into a double bulk style rig or anything like that. So it always pays to just think about the size of the Olivet you're using and just make it a little bit lighter than the capacity of the float, so you're able to put these small shots into it. Going down to the hook length, which is 5 inches of 08 Power Optex and a size 18 black gamma hook, a nice fine wire barbless hook. The elastic for the deeper rig is quite important too, because you've got quite a large float and obviously a lot of line to pick up. The last thing you want is a very light elastic. You need something that's forgiving so you don't lose the fish on the way in, but you need it so you can set the hook nicely, that doesn't see you bumping a lot of fish off on the strike. So I've chosen the number 5 elastic today, which is set reasonably tight so it just pings back into the top kit, and that's perfect. That rig is fished at 13 metres, and I've also set a line up at 6 metres where I'm going to be loose feeding casters, and obviously this is quite a bit shallow. I've probably got 8 foot of depth there, and that'll be fed with just a ball of ground bait and loose fed over the top. The float this time is a MAP DF3 4x18 float, this time on 012 Power Optex mainline. I'll come down the rig. I've got, again, I like to use smaller shots where I can. Arguably I could use an Olivet with this float, but I prefer to use a bulk of number 8s, and that just gives me a lot more options with regards to the shotting pattern I use throughout the day. I can bulk it down, I can spread it out, and it just it stops me having to set up loads of different rigs basically, and just makes everything a bit more simple. Hook length again, 5 inches, 08 Power Optex, and again a size 18 black gamma hook. Elastic again, number 5. Something I would like to touch on with the rigs that I use for roach fishing, they all have quite a long line between my elastic and the float. Basically, when you're fishing like this, you're looking to catch a lot of fish. So if I was to have a short length of line, chances are when I'm shipping out at speed, the float will wrap around the tip, it'll tangle up itself. So basically I just want to ship in and out as quick as I can, and with the longer line it enables me to give a harder strike to get plenty of elastic out on the strike, and it also ensures that my float follows my pole tip rather than it bouncing around and causing tangles. Just something to consider. My last rig for today is a rig that I've got for fishing at all depths really. I've just set it up on the top kit here. I'll probably be looking to fish it around 3 to 4 foot deep, just fishing through the water if the fish come off the bottom when I'm loose feeding casters. The float itself is a 4x12 WD3. 012 power optics again. This time I've only got 7 number 10s strung out at sort of 3 or 4 inch intervals for the last 2.5 foot of my rig probably. And that just ensures that when I lay my rig in, I can just hold it nice and tight, let the shots fall slowly, and I can catch the fish on the drop. Something that's quite important when you're fishing in such deep water is how you actually put your rig in the water. The best way is to just ship out to the full length, lift the rig right out, drop the olivette in, and where the ring that the olivette has made, where it's dropped in over your bait, lay your float over the top of that, and then that just ensures that the rig will straighten up perfectly right under your pole tip, so you're in ready and resting for a bite straight away. There's another one. Just a quick note about where the pole roller's positioned today. I've got it set so that when I ship the pole back, I have to bring my pole round to the right to bring the fish in. Now this is quite important when you're using barbless hooks, because you always need to keep a tight line on to the fish. Any slack and you'll find that the fish falls off more often than not. So always have your roller set slightly offset, never directly behind you, so you strike into a fish, start shipping back, and all the time bringing your pole round to the left or right, depending on what way you hold your pole. It's just a nice little tip that has definitely seen me catch a few more fish in my time. Long line, after a couple of hours, if it went a little bit quiet, so I've refed that with a couple of balls of ground bait and dropped in on this short line. Immediately I'm getting quite a few bites, but I'm missing a few as well, so I think the fish might have come off the bottom a little bit. So I think what I'll do is I'll have a look with the shallow rig in a minute. It's just a small fish. Yeah, I think I'll probably have a go on that now. Just have a quick look, see if we can pick up a bit of stamp. I'm just going to bait up with a single caster and see what happens. Laying the rig in sideways and just holding tight to the float, so the strung out number 10s just sink very, very slowly against it as I bite straight away then. So there's obviously a few fish there, so I'm just going to keep constantly throwing a few just 6 or 8 casters over the top of it, and There's a fish. Well, it's a big fish as well. Deary me. Really pulling. Probably a hybrid. I've had a few hybrids today, up to sort of £1.50, so could be one of those. They give you a good scrap. It's also a pretty good time to show you that it's worth having, even with very light elastics, puller bungs set into your light match kits. Just not only for when you hook a better fish like this one, but when you're catching lots of roach, you can use a lighter elastic, pull it and swing more fish to hand. So that can really be an advantage in a match situation where you want to catch a little bit quicker. Got a big hybrid. Oh, there he is. There you go. Nice hybrid. Well on the way to £2 that probably is. I think that shallow line's probably worth another go after that. Again, just 6 or 8 casters, holding it nice and tight. Get most of the bites as the float reaches its full depth. There you go, there's another one. Certainly is a much better stamp of fish on this. Lovely big roach. That's what you're after. Well, there we have it. The result of our day here at Shatterford Lakes. It's been an absolutely fantastic day's fishing, and probably one of the best I've ever had fishing for roach. It's not just roach we've caught today. We've caught plenty of nice good quality hybrids. We've had a couple of bream and loads and loads of roach like that. Absolutely stunning fish. It's got to be £40 plus, I'd imagine. Started off long fishing over those balls of ground bait. Caught a few fish, but fish were a little bit up and down in the deep water, so it made it a little bit difficult. So by topping up with ground bait, we managed to pin a few down and catch a few like that, and then after a couple of hours we come short on the shorter line where we've been loose feeding the casters, and we've caught really well there. So on the deck initially, and then I've come shallow and it's been literally a roach like that every single cast. So absolutely fantastic day. Big thanks to Grant for letting us come here, and yeah, I'll definitely be back.